Why does following Jesus not lead to wealth? When Jesus said, "It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich person to enter the kingdom of God," he wasn't trying to scare us or make us fear owning possessions. Instead, he wanted us to look deep into our hearts. The spirit of poverty that Jesus taught isn't about living in deprivation, with nothing to eat, but about living with a free heart, unbound by money or material things. He invites us to live lightly, with our hearts turned toward higher, more beautiful things rather than fleeting possessions. Imagine a carpenter living in a small house in a rural village, working hard each day to provide for his family. He doesn't have much money, but every time he finishes making a table or a chair, he often gives a small extra item to a struggling family in his neighborhood. He says, "I don't need excess. I just need enough to live and to see others happy." He isn't rich in money, but he is rich in contentment and inner joy. His spirit of poverty isn't about lack. It's about freedom from the desire to hoard. Jesus teaches us that when we're not obsessed with acquiring more, we have time to look around, to love, and to care for others. The spirit of poverty doesn't diminish us. On the contrary, it lifts us up, helping us live true to the human value that he created us for. Think about it. If you spent less time worrying about buying the next new thing, how many more moments would you have to laugh with your family, listen to a friend, or feel peace in your heart? Take another example. A street child who earns just a few dollars a day, but still sets aside a bit to buy bread to share with a stray dog nearby. He doesn't have much, but he has a big heart. The spirit of poverty Jesus teaches is just that. Not having nothing, but not letting what you have overshadow your kindness and love. Poverty is wealth in the soul. Many people misunderstand poverty as something negative, something that brings suffering or strips away dignity. But in Jesus' teaching, poverty isn't just material lack. It's a way of living that frees and enriches the soul. Jesus doesn't want us to live in poverty to feel inferior or sad, but to realize that the true value of life lies in love, compassion, and inner peace. Consider an old woman who collects recyclables in the city. She rides an old bicycle around, gathering discarded items to sell for a living. What's remarkable is that she never keeps all her earnings for herself. Every week she brings a small portion to an orphanage, even though she herself isn't well off. She says, "I'm poor, but I don't want anyone to feel as lonely as I once did." She's poor in material terms, but rich in compassion and faith in life. Jesus teaches us that true wealth isn't in a bank account, but in how we live with others. When we learn to let go of unnecessary desires, life becomes lighter. For instance, if you're caught up chasing the latest phone just to impress your friends, try pausing for a moment. Instead, use that time to cook a meal for your family or chat with a loved one. The peace from those small acts outweighs any expensive gadget. Another story is about a driver who works from dawn to dusk to support his 3 young children. Though life is tough, he never refuses to give free rides to elderly people who can't afford it. He says, "I'm not rich, but I want to live so my kids can be proud of me." He's poor in money, but rich in dignity and love. That's the kind of wealth Jesus wants us to pursue, richness in soul and in the way we live. How it brings us closer to God. Jesus didn't just teach with words, he taught with his life. Once he took a few loaves of bread and some fish to feed thousands of hungry people. The miracle wasn't just the act itself, but the message he shared. When we give, however little we have, it spreads and creates great things. Jesus wants us to learn to open our hearts, not to cling to everything for ourselves, but to use it to bring joy to others. Look at a woman who sells goods in a poor rural market. Though her income is modest, she always sets aside some food for the homeless near the market. One day she saw an old man trembling from hunger and didn't hesitate to give him her own meal. She said, "I don't have much, but I know what hunger feels like." Her small act didn't just fill the man's stomach, it warmed his heart and hers too. Sharing doesn't have to be grand. Sometimes a smile, a kind word, or a helping hand is enough to make someone feel loved. For example, a little boy who can't afford to give money always shares his last pencil with a friend who forgot theirs. He says, "Mom told me giving makes me happier." He's young, but he's grasped a big lesson Jesus taught. Sharing is the path to true happiness. Jesus wants us to see that when we give, we don't lose, we gain so much. It's the peace of seeing gratitude in someone's eyes, the joy of knowing we've done right. Every time we share, we don't just help others, we bring ourselves closer to God's boundless love. Rich in love, the eternal treasure. Jesus didn't promise us the material world, but he promised a life rich in spirit. The wealth he speaks of isn't gold, silver, or grand houses. It's love, peace, and kindness. He teaches us that when we live rich in love, we no longer fear loss, because love never runs out. Think of a street sweeper working under sun and rain for a meager wage. Yet, she always carries an extra bottle of water to give to other laborers she meets along the way. Once, she saw a construction worker exhausted from thirst and handed over her only bottle, saying, "Drink it. I can get more at home." She's not rich in money, but she's rich in goodness, and that makes her happier than most. Love is a treasure anyone can have, rich or poor. An old man lives alone in a small house with no family nearby. But he's not sad. Every day he sits on his porch, telling stories to the neighborhood kids. He says, "I have nothing to leave behind, but I want to leave smiles for the children." He's poor in possessions, but rich in humanity, and that gives his life meaning. Jesus teaches us that living with love reveals the true purpose of life. Whether you have little or much, try doing something for someone else. You'll feel your heart warm, and life will suddenly seem wonderfully beautiful. Living sincerely, the path to true peace. Jesus doesn't ask us all to give up everything or live in abject poverty. What he desires is that we live sincerely with faithful hearts, ready to let go of anything that pulls us away from his love. Whether you're wealthy with vast possessions or just an ordinary worker, Jesus invites you to be true to yourself with humility and love for others. Picture a coffee vendor on a street corner. He doesn't earn much, but he always wears a smile and treats every customer kindly, even those who just stop to ask for directions without buying. Once, an old woman accidentally spilled the coffee he'd just made, and instead of getting upset, he brewed her another one for free. He said, "I live simply, but I want my heart to feel light." He's not rich, but he lives sincerely, and that brings him a peace many wealthy people envy. Living sincerely according to Jesus doesn't mean doing huge things. Sometimes a heartfelt apology when you're wrong, a genuine thank you, or a small act of help is enough to lighten your heart. For instance, an office worker, stressed by her job, decided one day to take a few minutes to write a thank you note to a colleague who'd helped her. That small gesture not only cheered her coworker, but also eased her own heart amid the storm of work. Jesus teaches us that true peace comes from a life without pretense, not chasing after fleeting things. When we live true to who we are, free from the whirlwind of competition or desire, life becomes so much more beautiful. Try letting go of unnecessary worries just once. You'll feel your soul refreshed by the pure stream of love and grace. How to practice the spirit of poverty in daily life. Jesus' teachings may sound lofty, but he doesn't leave us lost. He shows us how to apply them practically. Practicing the spirit of poverty isn't hard or out of reach. It starts with small daily choices, from how we view possessions to how we treat those around us. Think of a homemaker with little money. She saves a bit of rice each week to cook porridge for poor laborers near her home. She says, "I can't do much, but I want to make life a little easier for others." She doesn't give up everything, but lives simply, not clinging to excess, and shares what she has. Another way to practice this spirit is learning contentment. A young engineer used to love shopping for clothes to keep up with friends, but one day he realized he didn't wear half of them while others had nothing to wear. He cleaned out his closet, donated the extras to charity, and now only buys what he needs. He says, "I feel freer without chasing meaningless things." Contentment frees him from being ruled by possessions. Jesus also teaches that the spirit of poverty pairs with humility. A boy who isn't the best in his class always helps his friends with their homework, even when he struggles himself. He says, "I don't need to be better than anyone. I just want us all to be happy." His humility doesn't make him small. It makes him great in God's eyes and his friends. Practicing the spirit of poverty is a long journey, but not a burden. Each day, try one small thing. Skip an unnecessary purchase. Spend time with loved ones instead of work, or simply thank someone. You'll find your life growing more meaningful and peaceful. Love, the flame that warms every heart. Jesus said, "Love one another as I have loved you." This teaching is our compass in every relationship. Love isn't just a feeling, it's action, a way of living that brings light to others. When we're rich in love, we don't just beautify our own lives, we make the world around us better too. Think of a retired electrician. He no longer works, but he still fixes electricity for free for struggling families in his neighborhood. Once, a family lost power on a cold night, and despite his age, he braved the rain to help. He said, "I can't sit still when someone needs me." His love isn't in words, it's in hands ready to serve. Love can be in the smallest things. A flower seller always leaves a little bloom on the table for the cleaner at the market. She says, "I want her to know her work matters too." Her small act costs little but brings great joy to both receiver and giver. Jesus teaches that love is a flame that never dies. No matter how hard life gets, if we keep that fire burning in our hearts, we'll always find hope. A 10-year-old girl with no money to give picks up trash around her street to keep it clean. She says, "I want people to smile when they pass by." Her love is simple, but it's a warm light for a small corner of the world. Living with love pleases Jesus and makes our lives worth living. Try spending a day doing something for someone, a kind word, a hug, a small gift. Your heart will glow, and peace will come like a gentle breeze. When poverty and love meet. The spirit of poverty and love aren't separate. They're two sides of the same path Jesus leads us on. When we live without clinging to possessions, we have more room to love. And when we love, we realize wealth isn't everything. Human connection is what matters most. Look at a single mother raising 2 kids with her home sewing. Though life is hard, she often makes extra clothes for poor children in her village for free. She says, "I don't have much, but I want my kids to know love is more important than money." She lives in poverty, but she's rich in love, and that fills her home with laughter. Another story is of a ride-hailing driver who once struggled to make ends meet. One day, he decided to use part of his earnings to buy meals for the homeless. He says, "I used to think I had to be rich to help others, but now I see all it takes is a willing heart." His material poverty didn't stop his love. It showed him the value of humanity. Jesus teaches that when poverty and love meet, life becomes whole. You don't need everything to give. You just need a ready heart. Try living simpler and using what you have to bring joy to someone. You'll see happiness isn't in owning, but in sharing. Challenges in maintaining the spirit of poverty. In today's world, keeping the spirit of poverty isn't easy. Social pressures, rising consumerism, and technology's influence all pose big challenges. One key factor is the pressure from our surroundings. We live in a society where success is often measured by wealth and possessions, pushing individuals to chase a high-consumption lifestyle to prove their worth. The rapid growth of technology also erodes this spirit. The internet and social media open a world where people compare their lives to others. Perfect images and lavish lifestyles of celebrities can make us feel inadequate, trapping us in consumerism and materialism, forgetting values like simplicity, contentment, and gratitude. Consumer habits are also increasingly common. Sophisticated marketing makes buying a daily necessity. New products launch constantly, making us feel we need them to keep up, fueling unnecessary desires and straining finances. Another challenge is the lack of financial education. Many aren't equipped to manage money, falling into spending traps. Without budgeting, saving, or investing skills, they overspend. Loneliness and disconnection in modern society also affect this spirit. As people live more online and less in person, they feel isolated, lacking community support vital for maintaining poverty of spirit. To overcome these, we need clear, effective strategies. Start with a positive mindset about simplicity, valuing small joys like family time, friendship, and experiences over possessions. Practicing daily gratitude can make us more content with what we have. Another strategy is financial discipline. Create a budget, track spending, and prioritize saving over consuming. This builds awareness and security. Joining community or charity activities also helps. Serving the less fortunate reinforces sharing and kindness, fostering social bonds. Limiting negative media exposure is key too. Curate uplifting, valuable content, read books, take personal growth courses, or attend financial workshops for inspiration. Daily positive habits like meditation, exercise, or hobbies balance life and reinforce this spirit, boosting health and satisfaction. In summary, live with poverty and love. The spirit of poverty isn't just about giving up material things, it's an attitude, a way of seeing and acting in relation to ourselves, others, and God. Jesus shared a profound message. Material wealth can blind us, leading to poor choices and dimming our ability to love and share. His words remind us that riches aren't evil, it's how we handle them that matters. Clinging to money can make us forget life's true values: love, generosity, and compassion. Living poor in the spirit Jesus extols isn't about suffering, it's about a free heart, unbound by possessions. It means letting go of what we don't need to open ourselves to those around us. Sharing with the poor isn't just duty, it's a chance to practice the love Jesus showed us. This spirit also means cherishing life's simple things: a family meal, a friend's smile, a neighbor's greeting, moments money can't buy. Slowing down to notice and feel these blessings shows us life isn't just materially full, but emotionally and spiritually rich. God, rich in love and grace beyond material wealth, calls us to a spiritually abundant life. Following Him, we're not just recipients of His love, but bearers of it to others. This requires sincerity and faithfulness, releasing what draws us from His love. Practice this spirit with small steps. Listen to others. Share what you have, material or emotional. A kind word or gesture can change someone's day. Acting with love and humility enriches us and betters the world. Living with this spirit isn't a duty. It's a journey of self-awareness, growth, and striving to live better daily. Challenges may come, but they help us mature and grasp the worth of sharing and love. Let God's love guide us on this path. Living his teachings brings peace to our souls and inspires those around us. Together, let's build a community full of love where all feel accepted, cared for, and cherished. With the spirit of poverty, we live not just for ourselves, but for others. That's how we show our faith daily. Open your heart, share, and live with love. That's how we truly thrive in Christ and feel the joy he brings.